Hi, welcome to Ray's Sensation. I'm your host, Dan, and in this episode, I am going to be taking a look at this 2-volume set from Fantagraphics, The Life and Legend of Wally Wood. All right, so here we are with The Life and Legend of Wallace Wood, Volume 1 and 2. This is like the third time I'm trying to do this because I'm doing this. I shoot these on my iPad. I don't really do any editing on these things, so I just shoot it, give you some background or some comments, one and done. I'm trying to make these a little bit shorter. I like to flip through the books and just let people see all the pages, but it doesn't seem like many people are watching them for very long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit some highlights in these two books and, let you decide. I just wanted you to see what was in these books, give you an idea. These two books, it originally came out as a single volume. Then this is a greatly expanded version with 2 volumes, a lot more artwork and to be enjoyed. And, the fact is that it goes somewhat chronologically. It's just a bunch of essays of people who worked with Wally or who knew Wally or who were influenced by Wally or who were fans of Wally. This is... it kind of works as a biography, but not really. If you want to read a real biography, you want to get Wally's World. That's the one that's a straightforward biography of his life. And this one is about the work. It covers some of his personal stuff, and it has a lot of personal photos too. A lot of photos from people who knew him, and some of these must have been from Wally himself. So here we go. This is Volume 1. Some great end paper, and the book is full of things like here's the original page for Super Duper Man. This is the black and white. It's not colored yet. I think the color version I've bookmarked that to show you as we come to it. But if you're not familiar with Wally Wood, and I guess some of you probably aren't, Wally Wood is somebody who started off, he was doing work for pre-code stuff for different comics publishers in the 40s. Is when he started, but he really hit his stride when he started doing work for EC Comics, is where he got to shine. And so you're going to see a lot of here's a self-portrait of Wally with some of his characters he's drawn. Well, I mean, not all these are people he's drawn. This is, of course, Prince Valiant, who the comic strip of whose Hal Foster's artwork was a huge influence on him. The Prince Valiant and the Flash Gordon were very important to Wally. So here's some of the stuff. Wally's most famous stuff at EC were probably, I would say, the Mad Magazine stuff, and of course the science fiction stuff. A lot of people think that Wally was the best comic artist for Sci-Fi comics ever. Certainly there's been other people since he's come along that have made their contributions to it, but he was the real start of making it look much more as we think of it today, and making it look more sophisticated, and look at the detail and stuff he puts into it. It's just amazing. So here's these are some pages of some of the work he was doing. This is from 42, and on this page, and this is unpublished stuff. This is You can see he's got some rather. He's already starting off one of the voluptuous ladies. There's a cool looking alien. I really love this crazy airplanes that he's got there. And here's some stuff from 45 and 47. Like I said, I'm not going to go through this. I'm not going to hit everything in between because I'm just trying to hit highlights. So here he is at EC. This is just to show off. This is what he was supposed to be turning in. He turned this in to see how far it would go before someone noticed. And it was kind of like a joke. And you'll see that voluptuous women are kind of one of Wally's things. Here's some more self-portraits. Okay. Let's keep on flying here. This is some of his earliest stuff for this. Let's see, Six Gun Smith. This originally, what does it say? It originally appeared in black and white in a pulp magazine, and then it got reprinted in a comic in color with. You can see how much cleavage he showed in the pulp, which was meant for specifically for adult men, and they cover up the cleavage a bit for the reprint in the comic. Here's some more of his fabulous work for the EC Sci-Fi comics. A lot of great artwork. Here we go. This is from another EC comic, Two-Fisted Tales, and Trial by Arms is one of his famous ones. There's a famous battle scene, and I'm surprised because they do have that in here. The little panel, it's a couple of little panels that show a battle scene, the back and forth, and but they print it really small in here, and it's generally out there in a larger size. But this is his original page, the artwork for that. Here's some of his Mad work, and he does some great, funny caricatures. This is kind of like his natural comic style for some of these. There was a lot of different people who drew some of these comics he was making fun of, so he doesn't have he's not imitating another artist for these. He's just drawing some funny characters. I think this is a pretty good Walt Kelly Pogo. That's a pretty good approximation of Kelly's stuff, though. Kelly's style. There's the Super Duper Man in color. This is one of the earliest of the superhero parodies, and it's pretty darn good. You could be forgiven if you thought that there didn't need to be another one after that, because he does it so well. Here's some spot illustrations for different sci-fi magazines. There's a John Carter of Mars picture. A lot of different gray tones and gray washes and stuff. And here's some color work. Here's a picture he did. This is for the cover of a Conan book, not an original Howard book. I have never seen that in the wild. It's pretty cool. Some more cover illustrations for I think these are for Galaxy magazine, a sci-fi magazine. And here's some of his EC covers. And this is some pretty hard. You can see how hardcore this is. This guy who's been lynched, and this Ku Klux Klan kind of group here with his tied up woman. And here's from his Mad Magazine parody of Prince Valiant. I think it's called Prince Violent. And it's pretty fun that he gets to do this parody of one of his main inspirations. And here he is doing his takeoff on Alex Raymond's Flash Gordon. What was this one for? This one was for a movie magazine satire for Mad Magazine. I don't remember ever seeing that. I don't have all the early Mad stuff. Well, I might have it in a book, but I don't remember that one. Oh, this is a nice picture of Joan of Arc. I thought that was nice. He did some work for Warren. I'll tell you, I wish someone would, I wish Dark Horse, since they seem to have the rights to the Warren stuff, I wish Dark Horse would put together the best of Wally Wood's stuff for the Warren magazines, because most of it is sword and sorcery. And I love Wood's sword and sorcery stories. This is from one of the Warren things. They did these photo novels where they took stills. Well, they didn't take stills. They took frame blow-ups from movies. Like this is from Horror of the Party Beach, but they also did Horror of Dracula, the Christopher Lee Hammer film, and some other things. And they tried to do them comic book style. I have this one. I haven't looked at it in a long time, but it's not very good. I mean, the movie's not very good, and they're not able to do much for it. But that's Wally Wood. He inserted himself into it. Russ Jones is the person who worked with him on this thing, and I guess that's Russ right there. I'm just guessing. I don't know what Russ really looks like, but they inserted themselves as these commentators, and it tells the story of this cheesy Z-grade horror movie, Horror of the Party Beach, and the teeth of the monsters, or there's something in the monster's mouth. I don't know what they're supposed to be. They look like the monster's mouth is stuffed full of hot dogs. And they painted over those and gave them just really sharp fangs, which would have looked much better in the movie itself if they had really done that. Here's another thing that I really liked. He didn't do that much work for Marvel, but one thing he did was I really liked his run on Daredevil. It looks a lot like, the Marvel comics had a different way of doing action than most of the other comic companies. And, I think it comes down to Jack Kirby. And I think Steve Ditko might have even been learning a little bit from Kirby. I hate to say it for someone who's as much of an icon as Ditko, but the action was handled a lot differently, the flow of it. And when Wood was working on these Daredevil things, it really felt, I really loved it because it felt right at home with the Steve Ditko stuff. And I think these are really, really interesting issues and worth tracking down. I'm trying to make these faster, folks. Great cover there. Another Wally Wood Sci-Fi effort. This is a look at some of the work he did for the Bubblegum card companies, Topps, Art Spiegelman, and other people who are fans of some of these old-timey illustrators. I'm only saying old-timey as a joke. Just people who were who had been around for a while. They were hiring these guys to do work like Wally did these did some of the earliest drafts, roughs, layouts, whatever you want to call them, for the Topps Bubblegum cards. And they were famously actually painted by Norm Sanders. Or Saunders? Is it Sanders or Saunders? And I have that book around somewhere. Shows those. There's a great little book about the Mars Attacks cards that has some of this early stuff in it. It's really cool. And one thing he did was he did these little booklets. Now I saw people with some of these booklets they were like little kids books, but they were very short. He did these. These are funny books. They're full of jokes. And these were parodies of particular superhero ones. Now, I've seen some of this stuff on the web, but I've never... and I've seen them at a comic convention. There was somebody who had some, but I didn't ask to take them out of the bag or anything because I knew I didn't have the money to buy them. So I've never actually held them and got to look at them that well. But you can see their parodies of different, like Blunder Woman. There's Prince Violent again. And, oh no, that's Violet. Tar Sam. Superman, the Mighty Thal. I wouldn't mind seeing this up front. Thunder Agents. There's a bunch of different times where Wood has tried to create his own characters that he would own, and not much actually ever came of those attempts. But there's some really pretty interesting stuff. That's a painting he did for Bill Gaines, the editor of EC, owner of EC. This is one of his attempts to publish his own thing, The Wit's End. I have a couple issues of this around, and I know that I might try and get a hold of, I forget what publisher it was, maybe Vanguard or Fantagraphics or somebody published the complete Wit's End in a giant hardcover book. I might try and get to take a look at that one of these days. In the meantime, Vanguard, I know, is going to put out there's supposed to be a best of Wit's End coming out, which would cover, this was an anthology comic that Woody was doing, Wally Woody. Wally was going to be, he did the lion's share of the stories in them, but other people were in it too. There's going to be a best of that I guess will include some Wally and some of the other people, and there's also going to be one that's just all the Wally Wood stuff that he printed in Wit's End. So, this is a page for Canon. This is another thing that he created himself. He did some strips for magazines that were sold specifically for military bases. And they were pretty risque for comics at the time. Here he did some true life kind of things about military men, and he looks a little bit like one of the Louvin brothers there. So there's that, and then so there's Canon, then there's Heroes Inc., which is a little. There's some cleavage and stuff, but it's not as over the top as like the Sally Forth stuff here. There's no real nudity or anything in the Heroes Inc. stuff, but again, that was something where there was a deal made for it to be distributed in the PX at military bases, and I don't know why this fell through or what happened there, but it didn't last that long. Here's some more of the Sally Forth. And it talks here that at one point he had really wanted someone to pick up do a Sally Forth book. He couldn't get it off the ground, but I believe there was a collection done after he passed. Here's some things where it did some inking for DC. I'm not sure. I highlighted that one. Again, here's one of this is one of the works he did for Warren. This is from Creepy number 41. And this is from a Vampirella issue. I mean, he just was doing all. Like I said, I think he did enough good stuff for Warren that someone could do a nice collection of that stuff. Although I know he was angry at Warren about a story that he submitted and somebody else cut it up and rewrote the dialogue and stuff and changed the story behind everything. And so that kind of ended that. Some more good sword and sorcery stuff. That's another page from that Vampirella story. Now, the Wizard King is one of the fantasy things that Wally owned and thought could be a big hit for himself. And doggone it, none of these fantasy things ever turned out. Now this is right up my alley. I like this. I love his fantasy stuff. The things he did were the Wizard King. They're not perfect. They're not exactly what I would have liked best. I wish it would have been a little closer to the stuff he was doing for Creepy and Eerie. But that being said, beautiful artwork. Him doing his great backgrounds and designs of all this sword and sorcery kind of stuff. Some more. I think probably one of the things that I'll have to go back and look at it again. I think kind of like ElfQuest, where the main character design of them being the small elves didn't really seem to work that well for me. I'll have to go back and look at it again. Here's one of those original pages for the Daredevil stuff. And then there is a whole book out of dirty drawings by Wally Wood. And here, this page is about him working for Screw Magazine, a sex paper out of New York City that was basically made a lot of money. This was back in New York's at its sleaziest, and so there were a lot of places that couldn't advertise in any regular papers, and this is where they would advertise. Al Goldstein's paper, Screw, and trying to remember what was the other thing. Maybe I'll notice it. Maybe I'll see something there. Here's some of the covers he did for the magazine. Here's what it says. He produced some comics for Goldstein's short-lived soft-core glossy magazine, National Screw. And I've never seen that, so I wouldn't mind checking that out sometime. I just have to remember to keep an eye out, I guess. Here we go. Oh, I thought this was fun. There's a cover he did for a Sea Hunt board game. That's pretty funny. It's a good caricature of Lloyd Bridges he's got on the front there. Some more pictures of Wally. Like I said, this is chock full of photos, personal photos of Wally Wood. And this is King of the World. This was kind of going to be a follow-up to The Wizard King. Malice in Wonderland. This it says this ran National Screw. I've seen this around. Just a dirty version of Alice in Wonderland. But he originally did it for a French magazine. Some of his paintings. Some more of his covers of EC magazine. There's Drew Friedman, the great caricaturist. That's his look at Wally Wood. Comics Journal reporting on his death at 54. Wally had health problems that instead of taking care of himself, he chain smoked and drank liquor. And, that's an oversimplification of a man's life. And then he took his own life. He was only 54. To me, when I see these pictures of him, he looks a lot older. But rough. If you want to find out, Wally's World is a great place to read about that. This is another page from a story for a Warren magazine. So anyway, there you go. Did I make it shorter? Is it still too long? I don't know. I just wanted to give you a look, give you an idea what's in this 2-book set. That's it. Wally Wood. If you're not familiar with Wally, hopefully this gives you an idea what to check out. It's so easy to find the Wally Wood EC stuff because it's been reprinted so many different ways, so many different times. And so you can find that stuff pretty easy. And some of his other stuff, there is a collector's market for some of these things. But some of it's really inexpensive on the secondary market for you to find. And I think you should check it out. Like I said, I really love the sword and sorcery stuff he did for Warren and the Wizard King. That kind of stuff is right up my alley. And anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. If you have a favorite Wally Wood story or book, put it in the comments. Let me know. Thanks.